is his name. There is a book that gives good news. The Bible is its name. B-L-E, 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 the Bible is its name. There is a book that has the truth. The Bible is its name. L-E, 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 the Bible is its name. There is a book that gives us wisdom. The Bible is its name. E, 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 the Bible is its name. There is a book that talks of Jesus. The Bible is its name. Next year, Lord willing. We'll practice. We'll practice. Yes, yes. All right. I'm in the Lord's army. Remember that one, right? Get some action here. Stand up song, stand up song. All right. So we marching, and then we riding. Shooting and flying. I may never march in the infantry, ride in the cavalry, shoot the artillery. I may never fly over the enemy, but I'm in the Lord's army. Yes, sir. I'm in the Lord's army. Yes, sir. I'm in the Lord's army. Yes, sir. I may never march in the infantry, ride in the cavalry, shoot the artillery. I may never fly over the enemy, but I'm in the Lord's army. Yes, sir. All right. All right, we're going to do one more. Again, tonight is going to be a little short night on teaching, and we'll have the program at 8 p.m. after our break. So, we got to be timely with this break. Oh, I'm looking over here. But, yeah, we got to be timely with our break and get back so we can be on time. This little light of mine. What do we do with our light? Okay. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine all the time, let it shine all around the neighborhood. I'm gonna
And as I mentioned before, some of you missed the first announcement, but if you have any kind of ideas or some kind of suggestions, please write them down, give them to us, so Lord willing, we can make next year's a little bit better. All right. Thank you. While I ride off into the sunset.
Good evening. How is everyone doing this afternoon? My lesson is taken from Luke, the 15th chapter. The author gave me a real task, and I'm going to read it, and we're going to get started. He says, the parable of the prodigal son is not a parable, and what he does, he talks about this idea of this parable as being a stewardship, and I never studied this parable in that context as being as the prodigal son being a steward. So he really caused me to do some extra work, and so what I'm going to do, we're going to look at the prodigal son, and I'm going to show that he is actually a steward, and I'm going to look at the older boy and show that actually he is a steward. Then I'm going to show the responsibilities and the consequences. Then I'm going to show the father love for the two boys. In the 15th chapter of the book of Acts, there's actually 3 parables. And what Luke does, he showed that there are 2 parables, and he tried to show our position in sin and how to handle it. And also in this parable, the audience that was set forth was tax collectors and sinners, the Pharisees and scribes. And all depends on what translation you have, still of a, I got a running nose for some reason, excuse me. It may have a publican. And so, and what Jesus does, what Luke is doing in here, he wants to use these 2 parables to help us to show where we at. And so, as we go through this parable, and so I'm going to show you where we at, and sometimes we might not admit it, but we are here in these 2 parables. And so, still using the book, we're just going to take the Bible and go right down verse by verse and sort of look at it and just sort of walk right on through the passage. Then we're going to look at some applications and try to how to better ourselves. And when we sort of fall in the pool, into the hog pen, or if we wind up in the far country, outside in the field, and then we'll know how to get back home. And so that's what this parable does, and you will see that. And the boy gives a demonstration of that. I'm going home. And at the same time, Didn't you say, God is here, and so you're going to see how God handled this, in this particular parable. Okay, so let's start off. This is ESV, and it talks about the tax collectors and sinners. They come to hear God, to hear the message that Christ was teaching. Then you have the Pharisees and the scribes. They come grumbling, very argumentative, and they was always against Christ and his teaching. And so what he does to show you how they should have some type of compassion, he goes and tells a story about a sheep and so what he does now, here's this man, he has 100 sheep, and they get lost. So what he's doing, he's going to show you how a sheep get lost, and at the same time, this sheep getting lost actually demonstrates how we get lost. And so what a sheep does, he's don't have no type of defense methods. He just grazing, looking along, going across the hill, and looked up and said, I'm lost. And so then he go ahead and tells the story. So now, what does the shepherd does? He leaves the 99, he go and he brings him, he picks him up, brings him back, and there's rejoicing in heaven. Okay. Then, so that actually, the sheep here represent one class of peoples. Now he tells another parable about a coin. And so this lady, she has a coin, she loses a coin, and she panics, gets the light, gets the broom, sweeps, put the light on, finds the coin, and she rejoices. That parable tells us how certain individuals are lost. Not on their own, they just sort of blind leads the blind, they both wind up in the ditch. And so these two parables here tell us how we get lost. But both of them, and so now what he does, and you come to the 11th verse here, he talks about there's the individual. So I'm going to paraphrase a lot of this, so my time is sort of short, and so, but we're gonna make it work and fit all this into the schedule of time that I have. So what he does, verse number 11, and he said, there was a man who had two sons, and the younger son came and said to the father, Father, give me the share of property that's come to me. And he divided the property between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all that he had and took a journey into the far country, and there squandered his possession recklessly. And when he had spent everything, there was a famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And he was hired by one of the citizens of that country, and he sent him out to feed hogs or feed pigs. And so we're going to stop here, and we're going to look at this young boy, then we're going to leave that, then we're going to look at the older boy, then we're going to look at the older boy and show that both was lost, and ask the question now, how do you get home? Then we're going to come back and we're going to look at the latter part of that, and we're going to show how the younger boy came back home, and we're going to show that it was by the grace of God that he extended out his love for him. And so now it says now when and also actually at that time the younger boy always, I think he received 1/3 of the father's possession. And so I was talking to Osili last night, and I just said, you know, supposing the 1/3 of his possession was $1 million, you know. And so this younger boy, he come in a very arrogant way, said, you know, I want that's what's belonged to me. And so all of a sudden, whatever 1/3 of $1 million was how much? Now, you know, that's quite a little taste of money, isn't it? I mean, you have to be, and watch this he have to be arrogant, gonna come and say, I want what belongs to me, which is 1/3. And there's no argument about the father. And so we have to assume a lot here that the father knows something about this boy. So now we're going to show that the boy, and what the book wants us to show, that he was a steward. Number one, we looked, I think there was maybe Wednesday night, we looked at Matthew 18, and was that parable there, that one had 5 talents, one had 2 talents, one had one talent. But the writer says that he give it according to their ability. And so now this boy have some type of ability. And so at that time, actually in that material, that was money. And so he had talent. The Bible doesn't suggest how old he was. But I'm assuming that he was old enough to come to his father in some type of arrogant type way and say, you know what, I want what's belonged to me. And, you know, and so you folks, you dads out there got 2 sons, you know, if one of your kids come to you and say, I need to talk to you, Dad. This is important. That 1/3, I want what's mine. And, now, today, the average father, well, now me, you know, yeah. Okay, let's go on with parable. Okay. You know, Sean got a couple of boys. If your young boy come to you and say, Dad, I want that which belongs to me, what would you do?
What's interesting is that, you know, where you're putting it, he's a lot more liquid than they were then. But the wealth was, you know, farm, you know, animals, things of that nature. So, you know, for father in that situation to, you know, give the 1/3, that was a lot of work, you know, in order to, you know, give that second son what he's asking for. It's not just, you know, hand something over. It's not, you know, there wasn't, you know, there was, you know, some banks or something like that. But
you thinking in the 20th century what you gonna do?
Most of the wealth wasn't that, you know, that available. So that was a lot of work for the father to even, you know, go along with, you know, the son and what he wants to do. So it wasn't just, you know, a day like here it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot more to it.
Yeah. Now watch this here. He said now he taken his possession, and not many days later he went into a far country. So the boy, some kind of way, was able to, liquidate, to changes over to some pocket money. Because he ain't gonna carry no sheeps and goats and, you know, into no far country and expect trade. Now this boy is pretty smart. And so he gonna liquidate and get him some cash, and where he can move at a fast pace. Because this what he's done.
Yeah, just thinking as far as a kid saying, "Give me what belongs to me." Really, nothing belongs to you. what I have is a gift. It's God's grace.
Okay.
As far as it's nothing that the kid did to earn. He was
That's right.
privileged to be a son and born in the family. So it's not as if you deserve it or it belongs to you. I've made the decision by my grace to give it to you.
Because actually it was a custom according to, I think it's Deuteronomy chapter 20, 21, that the older boy received twice the amount, you know, and actually too, the oddest thing about this, what the young boy done, and why I feel in my mind it was such an arrogant way that it being the younger boy, not waiting to the passing of his father, which that does not have to happen necessarily because they've done that from time to time, you know, but he's second in line, you know. Okay, and so what we now watch this here now he's a steward. He's got ability, he's got talent, got a pocket full of money. Now, 1 Corinthians chapter 4 says, is required of a steward that one be faithful. Now let's see, can we establish that this young boy was faithful or foolish? Now he left, he went into a far country. And the verses, I mean, it seems like it's something that the downfall was so quick. He went into and in the same verse, it says he squandered and he wasted his living in the far country. And next step, there was a famine in the land. And now the boy winds up feeding the hogs or pigs, which I guess either one to go. Yeah, feeding hogs. Now, for a Jew, man, this would be the lowest that you could go. You couldn't get no lower. So now, he's supposed to use wisely that which he was given. And so now, you may have a Bible that says in a heading that he's the prodigal son. Do anyone have that? Anyone? Now, actually, his lifestyle deals with his name. Prodigal is someone that wastes, and so that's what he was doing. And so this is one of the ways now, what he's doing now. And now let's catch up now. When you look at this young boy and how he got into the far country, and how he wasted his goods, he wound up in the feeding hogs, and he was lost. Now, where he got lost is not like the sheep. He didn't just wander off, not like the coin, but the boy made a mental choice. Dad, I need to talk. Give me that which is mine. Conversation. You know, conversation. And so what he done, now he wandered off into a far country and he got lost. Okay, now that's the youngest boy. A bad. When we look at this, was he a steward? Yes. Was he using his talent or ability wisely? No, he wasn't. His estate that he had, it seems like, man, he just blew it in a little no time. And I just round that figure off to help us to realize what kind of money that he lost, you know. And I'm pretty sure that like Sean say, you probably had some landowners, farmers were very rich back then in that day and time, but to make it more practical for us, we just assumed that say Dad had $1 million, and so what part, and so now we can relate to that because, man, if you had $200,000, we could do a lot in this day and time with that kind of money, So he lost it. Go ahead. My time is short now. I'm joking.
I was just going to say it's interesting that he left his whole family, all of that, his possessions, everything. Forget you, Father, I'm going. So it's just, that's really kind of harsh to me, him leaving all of that behind. He grew up there, family, friends, and he just decides. It's just interesting.
Oh, sure. Now who was hurt? Who was crying? Who was brokenhearted? The father. And yet he met his demands. And so look at us, and a lots of times, our thing is, we argue, you're too young to do that, you're too young, And so, and lots of times, that's just one. You can look at that as one way that you can go, but at the same time, when our kids decide to leave home, and sometimes we know our kids well enough, and we know what road they're gonna take, but we try to pre-warn them. And sometimes, no, I don't think it's best that you go. And so, I was talking to one brother about this, what I mean, how he tried to convert his family, and I feel bad that they won't hear the gospel, and so my thing is lots of times, just like I'm going to be personal with you, if, just like I love my grandson, and most of you know my grandson. He's a member of the church, but he said, Grandpa, this is the way I want to live. And I said, you know what? I said, let's sit down and talk. I said, you haven't thought this through yet. This is not, what? But this is my life. This is what I want to do. Well, you don't hog tie nobody, and so that's why I find confidence in this passage here. The father could have said, you know what, you're not ready yet. You're not ready yet. Because the father know his estate and said, a third of what I have is yours, true enough, but you're not ready to handle this yet. Isn't that safe? He could have done that, isn't that right? But did he do that? No, and so when our kids lots of times want to leave and go out into this big world, and so since I was being personal with you, and my job and my position now is to love at all times, pray at all times, and give advice when you ask for advice. That's all I can do, because you can't be manhandling no 20-year-old kid to do something when they persist. Okay, so let's go ahead on now. As a steward, he wasted everything. The young boy, he's a steward. Now let's look at the older boy. He's a little different, and let me paint this beautiful picture real quick for you. When we look at this parable, we want to keep our mind on home, because he left home. The father was at home, and we want to sort look at home as a safety zone. And he left all that which was good. Now, that's the younger boy. Now, the older boy, he was out in the field. He wasn't in the house. And to show you that, when the younger boy come back home and there was noise abroad, he asked the servant, "What's going on? Where your brother come home?" And he got all ticked off about that, didn't he? Okay, now, it used some, okay, down to verse 25. The older boy was in the field, and he came near to the house, and he heard music and dancing. Now watch what he done. He called one of the servants and asked, "What's going on?" You know? Now, you sort of getting a general idea of where he at. And if me, all this, I'm not gonna ask no servant. I'm gonna, "Hey, Dad, what's going on?" You know? No, he didn't do that. You know, and so here's someone I'm going to show you that he was lost, but he was right at home. Right at home. But he was angry. Yeah. He was envious. Soon as his boy come back, yeah, you kill a fatted calf and you put a ring on him. You ain't never done this. I mean, he stood up to his dad said, and the word that is used here, servant, is a slave. I've been serving you all this time and you ain't never killed a kid for me. So, what's going on here? You know, there are so many of us is right at home and we're lost. Now watch this here. The boy was in the field, and if you had to ask him, say, "Are you lost?" You think he would have admitted it? No way. And you were sitting right here, and some of us is lost. And we won't admit it. Now, but when we got that's one of the things why a good eldership comes along, that because they are soul watchers. They are watching, and they are shepherds, and they tend the flock, and they are watching them, and they can see these things, and they can help us. Isn't that right? So that's what they do. So now, both boys were sinners, but yet they sinned in the wrong way. And now, regardless, any sin that's committed is not only against God, but is a selfish act. And what it says, and what the young boy said, and what the older boy said, I'm not coming in because of my brother. And what it does, you give me what I want. That's what it does. It's a very selfish act on my part, you know, when I can come to my father and say, you give me what I want. And so now, both are stewards, you know. Now, the older boy was in the field. Now he's actually he's steward of his own heart, you know. And so he have to watch those things that comes his way, you know, and he have to watch those things that proceeds from the heart, and those are the things that condemn us, you know. And so now that's the picture before us. Both is lost, One is lost this way, one is lost the other way, and what Luke is trying to get over to us, we are lost the same way. You know, and you know, we probably can be right here. You know, we done lost several members. They just sort of stray off. You know, it's so subtle. They are not really involved within the congregation, and nobody knows. Oh, when the last time you saw Curtis? Oh yeah, he's the one that said so. Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah, man, I saw him in a couple of weeks. See, just straight off. And I'm out there. You think I'm lost? You know, you think I'm good grief, I'm lost. No. You know, we're not going to do that. And so then there are those that make that simple choice, you know. And so now, don't forget now, we're the home, we're the house, where both of them was, you know. And so the younger boy left home, the older boy was in the field, and he would not go into the house because that's where safety was. And so we'll close out, well, not exactly close out, we'll come back. Now we are in this predicament, and now we're at the point, you know, how do we what's a good one? I don't want to say retrieve. What's a good word for recover? You know, I put, okay, simple. How do you come back home? That's it. Okay. You know, so how do you come back home? And so now the younger boy, regardless how bad he was, now he still maintained character because he's out there in the far country. He's out there. He got hired on. He's feeding hogs out there, and yet, you know what? You have to. He's an integrity young fella. You know what? He's not stealing, is he? He's not robbing nobody, is he? You know, and he's willing to work. Boy, that beats a lot of these folks now. Oh, I tell you, they hit bottom. You know what I mean? They want to take what you got. You know, but not this young boy. Not this young boy. You know, so he was a lad of integrity. Now, and so now watch this here. The way he left home, he coming back the same way. He's sitting down. He's doing some serious thinking now. And he come to the conclusion, I know what I'm going to do. And what the writer, what the word Luke used, he said he came to himself. Now here's another point I want to watch now. If he came to himself and he's in the hog pen, while he was there, he was not himself. Folks, when we leave the Lord, when we leave the church, you are not yourselves. Because at home is where safety is at. And at home is where you need to be. At home, that's why the Father's at. Because in this parable, the Father was actually was the Lord, was God. And so when we getting out there, and really think about it, you out there fooling around and dabbling in sin, and once you know the truth and have been convicted by the truth, and you leave and go back, ain't no in the world you can make me believe that you are doing that and you are in your right mind. Because the stakes is too high. We're not talking about dollars and cents. Your soul is on the line. and you lose that, you done lost all. Now see, here's another point. At home was the father. When you left, see, you in Satan's territory. And the thing about it, when you in when you are in Satan's territory, you better do everything in your power to beat him back home. Because if he catch you out here before you get home, you'd have lost everything. So let's not fool around, because we have to be real, because we're talking about crucial issues here. Talking about your soul and my soul. And you know what? And once death catches, can't change nothing then. And we can, I don't know about death, but I can sort of imagine, what, if I had just one more second, if I had just one more shot. You can't do that, And so, then I guess the next session, he said 5 minutes. Oh, well, we'll go until he throw a rock. And so this is what we want to do. And so once we start looking, and now this young man, he's sitting there. And so what I want you to do, and when I want you to look at all that. Starting at verse 10, watch the personal pronouns here. I will arise and go to my father. I will say to my father, I have sinned. Oh, there's another one here. I have sinned against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. And so, the boy sitting, he been really searching his heart. And you know what? And it's when we get lost and we start making decisions to come back home, there's a real tug of war going on in the heart. And I have been there. Number one, I'm embarrassed. I don't know what they're going to say to me. You know what I mean? And not only that, and sometimes, you know what? It don't make no difference. Nobody care. And so the devil plays upon us. And so it is real hard for someone to make that decision and come back home. And when someone do come back, we should be more. Maybe the straighting back there, giving the Indian side or something. Tim haven't come back yet. Oh, yeah. That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, I forgot what I've been saying. You know what? I think it's best that we quit. I forgot my train of thought there. Back to the Father. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. And so you know what? We should have some type of time and sympathy for those that come back. See, really, we don't have a problem with giving, and we talked about this week. See, our problem is forgetting. And so to forget. Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and that's our problem. But is that really being? Are we really forgiven? And when we don't, when we do that, because there's two components. There's a forgiving and there's a forgetting. And if we forgive and don't forget, then we, how you say, delete this one. Because if you're going to forgive, you got to forget, you know. And so I think that was Brother Miller was talking about that. When someone come to you and how often that you should, Eddie? Oh, if someone comes to you and asks forgiveness, it's not only that you forget and true acceptance of that, you forget that too. So that's what God does. See, He's good at it. See, Curtis is not too. He's. I'll be honest. I'm not. Yeah, thank you. You know, because I got a long memory. You know, but I'm just joking now. But I will forgive. You know. So, okay, go ahead, Ed.
Are you?
Could you hold your? Are you good at holding things?
I will hold my question.
Thank you. You know, I think we're going for refreshments now. No, I have another.
Do you, when you say forget, is that like to erase your memory, or do you not hold it against that person for that wrong that happened?
Say that again, then?
When you say, when people say, "I forgive you," and I forget what you did, do you delete that action, that memory that happens in the past, or do you no longer hold them against?
You know what? You forget it. You don't hold it against him. But see, the human mind is a very unique, I guess, mechanism, because we can forgive and we forget, but we don't. It's so we suppress that. We are through with it. We're not dealing with that anymore, you know. And so that's what we have to do. Brother Henderson.
Yeah, I see exactly what Brother Eddie is talking about. God doesn't forget, but He doesn't, praise God, hold things against us. So what we don't want to do is, yes, I've forgiven you, and yes, I remember what you did, but I'm not going to restart this thing whenever I think about it. Okay. You know, just like the forgotten war and stuff like that. You know, what's going on in North Korea, they're just ready to, you know, get things back started. You know, if you've forgiven someone, yes, you remember the history, but when those thoughts come to your mind, since you've forgiven the person, you're not ready to pick back up in the disagreement or the battle or the war or the skirmish where you left off at. Yeah. And that's what God doesn't do for us. Okay. He doesn't do that to us. He's not seeing us as enemies.
Since I don't have any more time and will not, you know what, read Luke, the 15th chapter. That actually is one of my favorite parables, you know, because it shows us where we at. Let's have a word of prayer. And Father, we are so grateful, Father, for the time that you have given us and for this study time. And Father, we thank you and we just praise you for your word and how your word demonstrates, Father, where we are at in life. And we are so grateful, Father, that for the blood of Christ and that continues to cleanse us when we fall short of your word. We're thankful, Father, for the food that's being prepared. May it strengthen and nourish our body. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.